Hello, people there and everything, which is just probably not. But if you happen to stumble upon this video, today are my first reactions of the round one of the NFL draft. Obviously, if you don't care what a casual has to say, you don't have to watch this, but I don't really know. I'm shocked about some of these picks. So, number one, Fernando Mendoza. We all knew this was happening. It wasn't much of a shocker. But pick two, the David Bailey pick, it was really between him or Arvo Reese. And honestly, I thought it was going to be Arvo Reese. Then Arvo Reese started to fall a lot, and I was like, what? But, the Jets wanted a guy who had the stats to back him up and had the experience, so good for them. And number three, the Cardinals picked Jeremiah Love, which is an interesting pick. Because I don't know if their O-line is strong enough to support what Jeremiah Love has to do. Plus, they got Trey Benson a few years back in a pretty high round. But I get it, Jeremiah Love's a generational prospect. But I think you maybe could trade back a pick or two and still got him, but whatever. Now this is where I think the first mess up. At number 4, the Titans went ahead and got Carnell Tate. I mean, they probably could have traded back at least like 5 picks and still got Carnell Tate. They picked the third best wide receiver in the draft class at 4. Carnell Tate is easily not the best wide receiver. Jordan Tyson and Mekhi Lemon both clear him, I think, easily. So I just thought it was an interesting pick for the Titans when someone like Arvo Reese is still there, Sonny Styles is still there, or even Jordan Tyson. Personally, I just didn't love the pick, including when you signed Wandale to such a big deal. Now you're paying Carnell kind of a similar amount. It's just really interesting in my opinion. At 5, Arvo Reese is actually a steal for the Giants. I personally thought it was going to be someone like Sonny Styles or even like a wide receiver here, but Arvo Reese is actually a pretty good steal. He could play off the edge or linebacker, 2 positions Giants could easily lose. 2 positions the Giants could easily use, and honestly, I think they took him for the value. At 6, another interesting trade up. The Chiefs trade up for Montre Delane. Again, similar with the Titans, you probably actually could have waited. You probably didn't need to trade up because I don't know if Montre Delane was threatened to be taken until maybe like the 11 or 12. Like, I mean, sure, if you really wanted to trade up for your guy, you could. But it was just an interesting move out of the Chiefs, in my opinion. Just to probably trade Montre Delane in 4 years anyway, because that's just how they do that. At 7, the Commanders, I didn't think they were going for Sonny Styles. I thought maybe they'd go for a wide receiver. But, Sonny Styles is a steal, I would say. I didn't think they were going to get someone like Sonny Styles because they did sign Leo Chenal during free agency, but Sonny Styles is an athletic beast, so good for him. Number 8, another shocking pick was Jordan Tyson to the Saints. Because I definitely thought they were going defensive like a Ruben Bain or maybe even try to trade up for Sonny Styles. Because Chris Olave is a wide receiver 1. Again, I know they'll have a wide receiver 2. They're trying to help out Tyler Shook. But I don't know. I just thought someone, like Jordan Tyson, who has this big, long injury record, wouldn't go top 10. But this draft was full of surprises. At 9, Spencer Fano, the Browns. Not much of a surprise, but it did start the O-line run, which ended up in some dudes probably shouldn't be drafted in the first round, ended up did. But they started that O-line run. I like Spencer Fano as a prospect. At number 10, the Giants went Francis Magnolia. Probably move him over to guard, as I said. Nothing bad to say about him. But it just started this run. The Cowboys trade up 1 pick for their guy, Caleb Downs. I don't know why they trade up. Maybe they were afraid of the Dolphins taking him or the Rams. But, why not? This was another crazy pick. At 12, the Dolphins going with Caden Proctor. I know he's like a beast. He's 6'6", 352, and he could play wide receiver fullback. But I just thought when you had someone on the board, Like, if you go online, like a Vega Ione or a Blake Miller or even a Monroe Friedland, who fell pretty far. But the Dolphins really could have picked anyone. And the pick that is shocking the internet, Ty Simpson at 13. We doubted him. We actually doubted him. We thought probably not even first round. Maybe lucky if he's first round. We were all laughing at him. Proved us all wrong and went 13th to the Rams. They hopefully the next future guy after Stafford to sit behind him for a year, but not really a win now type of move out of the Rams, which they've been trying to do recently. But they were describing this pick as just a free pick anyway, because they probably shouldn't even have it anyway. So they took a guy hoping that he could be their future guy. At 14, Vega Ione, a pick that, it's a guaranteed hit. He's the best guard in the draft class, and the Ravens need a guard, so nothing more to say. At 15, the Ruben Bain pick. I don't hate the pick. Honestly, I'm surprised Ruben Bain actually fell into the 15th spot. The Bucs do need an edge rusher. He didn't look too happy to be on the Bucs, to be honest. But, I think maybe it was his arm size that the teams are just skeptical of. So that's the only reason he did fall. But I don't know if he's too interesting as a prospect. This is another surprising one. Kenyon Sadiq to the Jets at 16. They drafted Mason Taylor last year in the second round. I'm pretty sure, so to give up on him that fast when he didn't really have an opportunity to shine for Kenyon. I mean, don't get me wrong, Kenyon Sadiq's amazing prospect, but maybe they want to do something with him, like a wide receiver tight end hybrid, because he is more of a wide receiver anyway if he loses a couple of pounds. But I just thought that was a very interesting pick. At 17, as I said, some tackles are now being taken higher than they should because of that run, and teams are starting to get scared. So then the Lions took Blake Miller. Nothing crazy to say. At 18, the Vikings taking Caleb Banks. We all thought, I thought that the Dylan Donovan pick was a match made in heaven, but apparently not. I didn't think Caleb Banks would even go in day one due to his injury history, because why would you want a defensive tackle that has injuries in the lower half of his body? But apparently they really liked him. At 19, the Monroe Friedland, he fell a lot. I thought his draft stock was inflated, which it was, obviously. I'm glad it fell back down, because that's what it really should be. But the Panthers going online, I didn't really think highly of that situation, but it works out. He has some potential. This is where drama comes in. At 20, Makai Lemon. I don't know why he fell this far. Maybe teams didn't like his personality. I don't love his personality. I know he's a very good player. But the rumors going around now that the Steelers were actually on the phone with Makai Lemon as the Eagles trade up to get him. I just find it very interesting. If the Steelers really were trying to get Makai Lemon, you have 12 picks. The fact that you couldn't trade an extra third or a fourth to go up and, originally go with Dallas was to get someone like Makai Lemon, whose value would be great at this spot, is absolutely crazy. I think is poor GM work, and that definitely means that A.J. Brown is going to the Patriots. And then the Steelers ended up with Max Ina-Hanker, which I know their fan base is not happy about, for the hype that they had for this pick that was happening in Pittsburgh. But, as I said, offensive tackles were taken where they probably shouldn't have, and I think this is one of those picks. Akeem Mesidor, I said he was going to fall because of his age. I'm surprised he didn't fall a little further, but the Chargers need some edge help, so. 23, Malachi Lawrence. I know the Cowboys are really high on this prospect. I wasn't that high of out of UCF because he played at a smaller school. But if the Cowboys see something in him, they get paid the big bucks. I don't. And 24, the Browns going Casey Concepcion. I don't hate the pick. Actually, I really do hate the pick. What are the Browns doing? I get they need some wide receiver help, but he's 5'11". That means that all of their wide receivers are under 6 foot. They're starting 3 wide receivers. Jerry Jeudy 5'10", Isaiah Bond 5'10", In that case, he can tip you to 5'11", and he can't catch the ball that well. The Browns are so poverty. At 25, the Bears going Dylan Dynaman. I'm surprised he fell this far. I didn't think they necessarily need safety help, directly. They signed Kobe Bryant in free agency. But I think for the potential that Dynaman has at 25, you kind of have to take him. At 26, the Kalen Rutledge pick, the Texans trade up a few spots. And honestly, I'm surprised Kalen Rutledge went this high. Between him and Pregnon for the second best guard in the class. But honestly, I'm quite surprised that, the Texans do need some line help. But I thought they would maybe go with a Caden McDonald or a Peter Woods. 27, another reach. The Dolphins going with Chris Johnson. I think it would have been a safer pick to maybe go with like a Peter Woods or Omar Cooper Jr. But Chris Johnson had some amazing highlights. He has an okay build, right? He's only 6'4", but he comes down and plays good defense. So at 28, I think Caleb Lamu was actually a steal at 28. Because I actually do think he's one of the better tackles. And to get him at 28 when these other teams were picking Max Inhager at 21 or Blake Miller at 17. I think the Patriots just got way better value out of someone like Caleb Lamu. Of course, the Chiefs got someone good like Peter Woods has high upside because the Chiefs always just get lucky like that, and he'll probably end up being amazing. The Jets actually trade up for their third first-round pick, which is great GM work here. But honestly, I thought Omar Cooper Jr. would go a lot higher. I'm surprised he fell this far. He probably won't achieve anything because the Jets still aren't good. But, maybe if he went to another team, he would look amazing. At 31, the Celtic Folk pick, I don't hate out of the Titans straight back up. They need some more edge help, and the only other option was Zion Young. And if they really do, I think Celtic Folk has a lot of upside with his size and speed. And if Robert Saleh wants to develop him into one of those guys, let him go ahead. And then the Seahawks probably could have traded back to get Jadarian Price, but at this point, it was getting late, and I don't think anyone wanted to trade up anymore. So they just wanted to take him. They need a running back anyway, and, might as well. The next part of the video is I'm about to compare my mock draft, which will actually happen. I don't think I maybe got like 2 correct. I got the Fernando pick correct. I got the Francis Magnolia pick correct at 10. I got 2 picks correct. It's quite actually pretty embarrassing. I'm surprised some of the big guys like Jamad McCoy, CJ Allen, Caden McDonald, Emmanuel McNeil-Warren, TJ Parker, Cassius Howe, Colton Hurd, that they didn't go into the first round. So we'll just have to see tomorrow. If anyone watched, thank you.